Our scriptures today are all about living a life of total dedication to Jesus Christ, where Jesus isn't just one of many values, but where Jesus is the number one value in our life. We call that his lordship, that he is Lord over every single area of our life. The farmer in me loves that first reading about Elisha, the farmer. He was a big farmer. He had 12 yoke of oxen, 24 oxen. He was a big, wealthy farmer. But he slaughters the oxen. That'd be kind of like a farmer today just driving his tractor over the cliff. Slaughters the oxen, takes the wooden yokes that they were, uses those for fuel, and roasts the oxen and feeds them to the people. Elisha's out of farming, right? We get it. He won't be farming anymore, right? That's the whole point. In other words, it's a story of total dedication to God. He wants to be our Lord's prophet. He wants to give him heart and soul all that he has, not to hold back anything. Our gospel is kind of the same message. Jesus says we're to follow him with total dedication. He says even if we have nowhere to lay our head, no home, or over family obligations, family are wonderful, but he's saying he even takes precedence over our family. And I love this one, don't set your hand to the plow and look at what's left behind. Think of a farmer. He's got an oxen pulling this plow. He's got his hands on the handle. He's looking backwards. Where's that plow going to go? All over the map. All over the map. The only way that plow is going to work is if the farmer keeps his gaze fixed straight ahead of him. Or, in the example Jesus is using, if he keeps his gaze fixed on Jesus Christ. Probably you've heard this analogy. It's certainly not original with me, with a circle. And in the circle is all of our concerns, every element of our life. And there's a little throne in the middle of the circle. And someone or something is going to be sitting on that throne. In the first snapshot, Jesus isn't even in the circle. He's outside, and take your pick. Anything can be on the throne. Second picture, Jesus is inside the circle, but he's not on the throne yet. He's one of many, many concerns or elements we have. He's there, and we know about him, but you wouldn't say he was number one. Probably that's our struggle, to an extent, all of us. But in the third circle, all those other concerns are still there. They don't go away. But Jesus is on the throne. He is our number one priority. That's an ongoing task for him to be Lord. Kyrios, or Lord, means the one we obey. To be Lord of every area of our life. So Jesus wants to be Lord of our prayer life. He wants to be Lord of our work life. Lord, how would you have me work today at this job? He wants to be Lord of our eating and drinking. What do you want me to eat, Lord? What do you want me to drink? He wants to be Lord of our money, our financial decisions. We make those consulting him. He's the Lord. He wants to be Lord of our use of technology, our iPhone, iPad, PC, whatever technology we have. He wants to be Lord of how we use it. He wants to be Lord of our body, how we live out of our body. He wants to be Lord of our family. Yes, Jesus is more important even than family. We should consult him for our family life. He wants to be Lord of our friends, our friendships. In other words, any area of your life you can think of, Jesus wants to be Lord of that. And that's a desire of our hearts, but we kind of give it to him and then take it back. I think it's kind of an ongoing task for all of us. In fact, I would say you have to renew that choice every day that you live. Our world today sees Jesus as one among many options. Like you go to the grocery store, there's a lot of soups. What soup do you want? Religion, he's one among many gods. You got Jesus, you got Muhammad, Buddha, Hindu, whatever. Or, to make it more personal, you've got family, friends, work, eating, drinking, technology. He's one among many. But of course, Jesus says he's everything. He says, I am the way and the truth and the life. He is all in all. He wants to be the center and have nothing take his place. In fact, for our offertory hymn today, we're going to sing that beautiful hymn, Lord, you are the center of my life. I would encourage you just a few minutes when we sing that, to really mean it, to really put your heart and soul into it. Lord, I want you to be the center of my life. I want nothing else to take that place on the throne of my heart except you. We have a special treat today. Our seminarian, Chuck Warren, is going to share with us kind of his vocation story, how the Lord kind of tapped him on the shoulder and brought him to this point of his life.
Your mother and I would like to see you finish your degree. And then after that, you can do whatever you want and we'll fully support you. This phrase crushed me. You see, I really wanted to have my Elisha moment. I had just finished 3 years of college and I felt a call. I had prayed a lot about it. And I come to realize that I really need to answer this call. And so I wanted to take that yoke of those 3 years of college and I just wanted to burn them. You know, it had taken me a while to get to that point though. I went to Loras College and there I found my major, what I was passionate about. I found good friendships, good relationships, ones that I still value to this day. But it was through those relationships that I came to understand that I was being called to love. But the way that I was being called to love was going to be a little bit different than how most people were. So flash forward again to that moment with my parents. Out of love and obedience for them, I said yes, I'll finish my last year of college. A little bit heartbroken, but I went. And it was precisely this yes to return, this obedience to my parents, oddly enough, gave me a great deal of freedom. You see, for most people who are finishing college, some here can probably relate, there's a lot of uncertainty about what you're going to be doing in the future. But for me, I knew full well. I knew that my goal was seminary. And so I went back to that last year of college, trying my best to form my heart, to prepare my heart, to be ready to answer this call to love that I was feeling, that I had been praying about, that I knew. And that gave me a lot of freedom, because now I could make the most out of any opportunity as an opportunity to prepare for that. But what also happened was that all of my peers and classmates, well, they all found out, did you know that Chuck was going to leave us this year? He wasn't even going to be here. He was totally going to ditch on us. What was he going to go do? Study to be a priest? A Catholic priest? Why? That last year of college for me was filled with a lot of questions. Because in my major, there's not a lot of Catholicism. There's not a lot of contact with the Catholic Church. And so a lot of my close friends and peers had questions for me. And that led to a lot of really good conversations. Really powerful ones. I remember a year later after I graduated, one of those friends called me back. His name was Eric. He and I would always team up and work on video projects together. We were best buds. And you know, we had a conversation. It was normal. There's a lot of inside jokes that none of you would understand, but we think are hilarious. And then in the middle of all that laughter, Eric got kind of quiet. And things got kind of serious for a moment. He said, Chuck, I don't know how to tell you this, but, and he choked up a little bit. I could hear it in his voice. But what you're doing is really important to me. This was the friend who I had invited to Mass at least 5 times that year. Each time was, no, I'm out of town right now, I'm a little busy, I gotta work on a project. This is a friend who was kind of a believer, probably non-denominational, And yet, my yes, which I always thought was just a very small yes, had impacted him in a big way. And that was pretty cool. You see, for us, when we give our yes to our vocation, a fire comes down from heaven. And not a fire of vengeance or wrath like the apostles wanted. Lord, do you wish us to call fire down on these fools right here? No. When we answer yes to our vocation in life, to what we're being called to love, and how we're being called to love, and bring other people God's love, when we say yes to that, God lights a fire in our hearts. And that fire, the warmth of that fire, draws other people to the flame because they can feel that love. They notice that love. They notice that you're different. And that helps other people become really happy too. For those of you here who are closer to my age, junior high, high school, college, just out of college, you're probably like me and still in the process of figuring things out. Not a priest yet. I'm working on it. But if you want to find some time to figure out how you're being called to love others, come say hi to me after the Mass. I've got some camps coming up. And what they are is just a good time to stop in our really busy lives and just think, how am I being called to love other people? It'll be worth it, trust me. For those of you who have already said yes to your vocation, to beautiful marriages, the priesthood, thank you. Thank you in a really big way, because your witness does a lot. And even if you think that your marriage, that your vocation right now is broken, that you're not living it fully, that you're just a wounded being and you just feel miserable, trust me, even your little yes is doing big things. And what I would ask specifically from you who are struggling right now is that you would pray for people like me, for the faces in this crowd who you knew are still working on their vocations. We need your prayers a lot. We've got a long way to go. I know you've been challenged a lot already in the last 5 minutes. Make sure to make Christ the center of your life when we get there. But I have one more for you if you're willing to accept it. And I think it ties in really nice. What am I being called right now, to all of us, whether we have our vocation or not? What am I being called right now to leave behind so that I can more authentically and genuinely love those who are around me right now in this moment? And I bet if you do that, you'll also make Christ the center of your life.